Hey, welcome to my apartment. The other day, my sister was asking me about restaurants in Milwaukee. She's trying to say yes to a dress. She's getting married next year. But she's trying to say yes to a dress in Milwaukee, and she wants to take the people that are going to have to suffer through her trying on a million dresses out to a nice dinner. She was asking me about restaurants in Milwaukee, and I was giving her all these suggestions, like, oh, you should try Duck, oh, you should try Ardent. And she's pretty familiar with the area, but not as familiar as I am, having lived downtown for the last 5 years. So she's probably, as she's getting these names, she's like typing them into Google Maps to see where they are. And me, being like the pretty extra person that I am, that's like pretty into data, pretty into data visualization, I was like, maybe I could like just send her a map of all the best restaurants in Milwaukee. So, when people normally ask about the best restaurants here in Milwaukee, I send them this article. It's by the Journal Sentinel. It's Milwaukee's top 30 restaurants in 2018, plus 20 more good eats. She like goes over the Milwaukee restaurant landscape, and then she gets into listing out the top 30 restaurants. So it's got Sanford at number 1, and then it's got the address here. So if Marie had this, she could copy and paste this address into Google Maps or just into Google, and she could find it. But she's also trying to stay in a hotel that's near a lot of the best restaurants. So let's jump into Alteryx. So all I've got here is the URL and the download tool, and then a bunch of preparation and parse tools to just like break apart this download data. It's all packaged in like one little cell. So what I'm doing is splitting it into rows on new lines, and then I'm using the filter tools and the regex tools to look for specific characters that I can use to determine, like, yes, this is the name of a restaurant, yes, this is the address. After a bunch of filters, I get to a point where I have the rank, the name, and the address. Since the address just won't cut it, we need to get a latitude and longitude. I'm using the Google Maps API, and my API key, and the Google Maps search URL, and then I create a search URL for each one of these addresses, address, state, and the API key. And then again, we've got another download tool, and then I get a bunch of messy data again, which I then parse on new lines, so I get a ton of information for each single address. Then I just push that data out into a file so that I can work with it. So here is that file that I pushed out. It doesn't change because it'll change in 2019 when they come out with the new list of restaurants, but as of now it doesn't change, so it's fine that I just have this static file. Don't worry about it. Then I'm doing the same thing where I'm using the regex tool to parse stuff out, and then I get to a point after this filter where I can actually look for the latitudes and longitudes, and that's what this bad guy is. So if you ever need help with regex, this is pretty rad. I can paste it in and it doesn't find anything here, but if I had this, paste this in, it's going to find this longitude and this latitude. So after that, I filter out stuff that doesn't contain this 2C because that's my longitude or latitude, I don't know which one, and then I use the formula tool to like make everything nicer. Then we use the select tool to rename some stuff and only move on with the fields that we want. Then I create some points, and then I output the files, 2 files, a hyperfile and an Excel file. Why 2 files? Why not? Then I pulled it into Tableau, I created a map, I downloaded some custom shapes, which is really easy to do. You just add them to my Tableau repository, go into the shapes folder, and then go into one of those folders. So this one's called blogs, and I got this nice little location shape. And then I colored it by top 10 or not top 10, which is just a calculated field that I made. If the rank is less than or equal to 10, then it's top 10. So if Marie were to come in here and use my little visualization, she could see that these top 10 restaurants are all in like relatively the same location. We've got Story Hill, BKC, but she could stay like right here and go to Stanford, the Diplomat, Ardent. You know, maybe she could take a couple scooters up with her gal pals to Lake Park Bistro, and they could walk around and then have a big old meal and take a little nap in a park bench. That'd be cute. So yeah, here's this visualization.